Uh, so this role is often unsung because it is kind of behind the scenes. I know those of you who have been local league presidents go, have interacted with the nominating committee, go, oh yeah, that's time again. We got to do that again, right? I think we can make this role and this leadership of our state league so much more. We need leadership development. We integrate meld. We integrate local league leadership. We have a pipeline of young, enthusiastic people of color, all sorts of diversity in our leagues, and we have this system for leading this organization to something better and stronger. If not now, when? Let's do it.
Thank you. So there's a request for Allison. That was the conversation here, that you move a little closer to the center of the stage because the folks on Zoom aren't able to see you. Thank you. Okay. With that, we're off to the second question, and we begin with Allison this time. And the question is, what do you feel makes you uniquely qualified to fill this position? 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a player's coach. I like working with people. My passion is getting the most out of people and having them live up to their potential. So I look out in this crowd and I see people who are stepping up and will step up. And I want to encourage you to encourage the next group that you talk to. I teach martial arts for a living, and this is what I want out of my 4-year-old students. How do we make them the best they can be, right? So I've got the league experience from my breadth of working with leagues across the state, of working myself at all levels of the league. I understand boards and how boards work effectively. These are all key components to making this nominating chair position really rock. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Cindy, same question, 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm also on the board of several other nonprofits and have gone through the nominating process. I also have been the treasurer and on the board of a nonprofit called Fusion, which is in Federal Way, Washington, and we give shelter. We provide shelter for families experiencing homelessness, and we often go through a process where we want to add new board members. And I have been on the nominating committee. I've chaired that. So I've done that in the past for that, and I've on 2 other boards as well where I've done that. I think I understand what we need as a process to determine what do we need as a board going forward into the future. What kind of skills do we need? And then to go out and solicit and find from all of the network of the leaders across the league how to go out and find those kind of people that we need at the board level.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Cindy, too bad you sat down because you're up next on this next one. What challenges, if any, do you anticipate serving in the role of chair of the nominating committee for this statewide organization? And what plans do you have to address those challenges?
Well, I think the challenge is that I've been called several times to be on these boards, and when people get the question, the challenge is always to in addition to begging them to be on the board, is to how to handle their excuses for why they don't want to be on the board, and how to describe how important it is and how valuable they will be and how they can help to lead and direct the vision of the future. So the challenge is to get people to come on the board, to recognize the value of why should they be on the board, and to combat their excuses. So I have heard that there are a list of responses to excuses that are compiled for the league that we could start with as far as but the first step in how to combat that. But I think that it's a good job to sell to people to want to be on the board. So we're looking for the best people that want to be there.
Thank you. Allison, same question?
Oh, sorry. I don't like tables in front of me. Challenges for this position. Clearly, this is a time when everybody's busy. Everybody's nervous. Everybody's trying to figure out what they can do to protect our democracy. And I think the answer is to create a clear vision that people want to step towards, to create a spot for everybody so that each of their unique needs and unique qualifications get filled. And if we can create that pull, then we can have this uplifting, trusting, enthusiastic group of folks that say, I stepped forward because my skills are going to be uniquely qualified. I think this is not for the faint of heart, the work we do. And we all need to pull together to make it work well.
Thank you. Allison, you'll have a chance to go first on this last question. Just yesterday, actually last night after dinner, the election committee approached these two and asked them to participate in this forum for your benefit today. So they have not had a lot of time to think about this, but I bet they both went to sleep last night wondering what we were going to ask. And I bet they both went to sleep last night hoping we would ask something that we probably have not asked. And so here's the last question. Is there anything we didn't ask you about today that you wish we had? Allison, 2 minutes.
Great. They're making us do the work. I think the key question is what do we need in board leadership, right? Because this role is about leading a team to try to find those people. And I've worked with lots of boards and I've done lots of training on what makes an effective board. And there's 3 things. There's oversight, foresight, and insight. You need people that can make sure the organization is running effectively. That's your oversight. You need people that can think strategically. That's your foresight. And you need people with passion and vision, and that's your insight. This is not easy times, and we want people to step up because they feel like they can make a difference. We need poets, we need engineers, we need people who are CPAs, we need people who are lawyers, but we need people who care and are passionate about a diverse set of things. Whatever you're passionate about, the league has a place for you. That's what makes this organization so great. So pick your passion and go.
Thank you. Cindy?
Well, I don't have a lot of extra things I need to say, I don't think. So I think Allison said it very well. I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. So we have a 1-minute final statement coming from each of the candidates. But before we do that, I want to close this now so that their voices are the last you hear, not mine. You're here to hear them, not me. I want to thank you, the audience, for coming to this with an opportunity, taking advantage of this opportunity to learn, for your time and your attention. I want to thank both the candidates for accommodating the 3 of us at kind of the very last minute. We're appreciative of that. And I'd like to thank President, yes, really. And I'd like to thank President Mary Coltrane for making time. This is a busy schedule, and yet you tucked us in here. So thank you very much for that. And with that, final statements. Cindy, you go first.
Okay, hi. I believe I have the organizational skills and the experience to work with the nominating committee over the next biennium to put in place a process where we find the very best board members who share what I've seen are the league's priorities, who can balance the values of the league with the priorities and vision for the future. I would be honored if you would vote for me to lead the nominating committee. And I look forward to networking with league members to find the best people to guide the organization into the future. Thank you.
Why do we do this lead work? To quote A.G. Brown, it's not for the money. No young girl dreams of being nominating committee chair, right? We step up when the moment calls us. I'm passionate about helping people and organizations reach their full potential. This league needs leadership that can embrace the needs of our time, that is ready to take action when action is required. I look out into this group and I say, you are enough. Together, we are enough to make the difference. Please vote for me for nominating committee chair, and we will help make the league we need for today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, candidates. I'm so pleased and proud that we have two excellent candidates to choose from for this really important position. The nominating committee sets the future for the league because it chooses or it selects, plays a key role in selecting the people who will be leading our organization. But as you see this morning, it is not just the nominating committee that plays that role. You two play it as well. So please look for the candidates, ask them questions, get answers to your questions so that you can cast an informed ballot tomorrow. We will have an election, and we'll talk about, I'll give you guidance on that before we discontinue our plenaries for today so that you'll know what to expect tomorrow. And now we have everybody on the dais. So I'm Mary Coltrane, president of the League of Women Voters of Washington. The League of Women Voters of Washington Convention 2025 is now reconvened and in order. And I ask Kate Castanen to come forward with the credentials report.
Morning, everyone. My name is Kate Castenson, chair of, I'm giving the credentials report right now. I'm a member of the Clark County League, and pleased to report we have 89 voting delegates from local leagues and members at large, 9 state board members present. That's a total of 98 delegates with voting rights. As you all know, we have a quorum of 30 delegates present in addition to any board members present, and not less than a majority of leagues. We do have 18 leagues signed in, which is a majority of the leagues being represented.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you to your committee. We are now, because of the candidates forum, we are not on schedule. And I wanted to alert you that we do need to recess at 12:15. We have a speaker at 12:30, and everybody will need that break to recess. So we'll move through this as quickly as we can. The purpose of today's plenary session is to get the motions in front of you and to have questions for clarification. There will be no, if there's time, which I doubt, we could go back and take up amendments to those motions, but likely that won't be possible. So we'll just get the questions for clarification answered. Then we'll come back to these motions will come back to the body on Sunday, where there will be debate, possible amendments, and voting. So at this time, I ask Diane Mollison, chair of the bylaws committee, to come forward. And as she does that, I'll do 2 things. One, I'll remind the members that if you have announcements, you need to write them out and give them to our secretary. And I also will mention that Diane has placed bylaws for the League of Women Voters of Washington, our C4 organization, on the tables, not the C3 ones. We're only talking about League of Women Voters of Washington today. So Diane, please.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I didn't have enough copies.
we had made 15 or 16, but we didn't have enough for everybody. So I hope that if you don't have a copy and you still need to see them, you can go to the link at the bottom on page 27. At the bottom of page 27, there's a link listed and you can read the bylaws there, the chain, the suggested amendments. Okay. So I'm going to make, my motion is I move to adopt the recommended bylaw amendments as presented on page 27 of the workbook. The motion does not require a second. I will state the question. It's been moved and adopted to adopt the proposed amendments as stated on page 27 of the workbook and as on the screen in front of you. Diane, would you like to speak to your motion? Yes, if anyone has any questions, I will recognize that and please ask your question. Go ahead and speak to your motion and then we'll take questions for clarification. Okay, speak to my motion. Which is, I think this is a good idea. Sorry. Okay. The main reason bylaws had to be updated this year is that they had to conform with the chapter spot, the new membership chapter spot, which is the new membership system adopted by the National League. And so most of these changes, not all, but most of these changes reflect that update. And then while we were going through it, there were a few other suggestions we received that just made sense. They're listed here. The rationale for all these changes is listed on page 27. And if anyone has any questions, please ask me.
Can people hear me if I don't hold the mic?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I want to clarify why, the definition of students.
Lower your mic, lower. your mic.
Lower the mic.
And name and league.
There, is that better?
League. Mhm.
Okay, good. I noticed the definition of students is
Judy,
eliminated.
Judy, we need to hear your name and your league.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judy Zider, Clark County. We've eliminated the definition of student in Article 8, yet it remains in Article 3. I understand there is no student dues number anymore. Why are we leaving a definition of students if it's not tied to any substantive provision like dues?
Excellent question. We had the same question and we wrote to the National League, the governance, and they said that that has to still be in there. They still have to be a category until at their next convention, they vote to remove them. But they agreed with us that there was no real reason to leave them in there since they no longer have to pay dues and therefore it's an irrelevant category.
Okay, so we're going to clean that up later.
It relies on a National League. Yeah, the National League will have to vote to remove that category.
All right, thank you very much.
I am Valley Needham Heisman. I am from the Thurston County League. It is my understanding that we are required to adopt the changes to Articles 1, 2, and 3 because all leagues have to be in compliance to the National League. So I am wondering if instead of adopting all of these together in one motion, they should be split because we are required to do Articles 1, 2, and 3, but we are not necessarily required to do the rest.
We're just getting the motion on the floor today, and the handling of the motion will occur at the plenary on Sunday. But I will tell everybody that the plan for handling that motion is to consider it by paragraph. And what that means is that Diane will restate the motion, and that motion will be on the floor. We'll take each of those clauses one by one in turn and ask if there are any amendments as they come up. And then any amendments that are made will be attached to the original main motion and will be voted on in that manner. Does that?
Okay, yes, that
Okay.
answers my question. Thank you.
No way we got that question.
Hi, Ellie Hutton, Clark County League. I had a, is that better? Okay, sorry. Ellie Hutton, Clark County League. I had a conversation with Diane earlier today, and I thought I would just address it here so everyone could hear it. I'm aware that in Article 9, they took out some language under Section 9.4 representation. So this is determining delegates counts, and they took out the language, the date to be determined by LWVUS, and instead inserted January 31st. I spoke with Diane because in our league, when we updated our bylaws a couple of years ago, we went through them with a fine-tooth comb to have them be more general language. So if there were changes that are very specific, we removed that kind of stuff. And so I was just curious, and she let me know that they had reached out to National for guidance and they had said January 31st. But I just am curious about that because how do we know National won't change that? And so sticking with the language that is currently there, to me, would be more appropriate.
Yes, no, I actually think that's good. I think we should give ourselves as much leeway as possible in these bylaws. It's just, that was another question we asked when we asked our student question. And they said, January 31st, but I don't think that was, written in stone that we had to put but since they said that, we did. So yeah, I think you're right. I think, the original way gives us more leeway.
Are there other questions for clarification?
Hi, this is Robbie Soltz from Kitty Tales League. I want to know, it says simply here that we added the national DEI policy. I am not familiar with that. So could you just a Reader's Digest version of that? Could you state that for me?
I think we're going to want to refer people to the website. That does not something that we need to take convention time for. That information is readily available out of the convention discussion. And so I encourage you to take a look.
Okay, so actually there is a DEI policy and that is in the policies and procedures. I mean, it's a big, and they said for the bylaws, because we looked at the sample bylaws. And so this is sort of do you have that statement that's in the bylaws? It's just a sentence that explains the DEI policy, but the big, big paragraph is.
But yet we are expected to vote on these bylaws today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Mhm.
This is the opportunity for questions for clarification. So if you're not clear about what the DEI policy says and if you're not clear about what the DEI policy says and you want clarification on that, Diane can direct you to where you can find that policy in detail. All right, seeing no other delegates approaching the mic for questions for clarification. Thank you, Diane. We appreciate that. Again, we will vote on this motion tomorrow. If there's a time today, we'll begin amendments. We'll begin that process, but we'll have to see how things go time-wise. And I will remind the delegates that when we are voting on the amendments, we are voting to amend the proposed language only. The next item on the agenda is program. I ask Shelley Knight, program chair, to come forward. Shelley is going to make motions on the program items, and like the bylaws items, she will be making the motions. We'll take questions for clarification, and then we will vote. We'll have the debate, possible amendments, and voting at the Sunday plenary.
I think it's motion, no, I have
2504.
25. Motion 2504.
It's right here.
I move to readopt the current LWBWA positions in the area of government, transportation, natural resources, and social policy, and the new positions that were adopted on elder caregiving and welcoming immigrants, as presented in the program in action on pages 28 through 32 of the workbook. And the board also recommends continued efforts in the campaign, the National League's campaign for making democracy work.
It has been moved to readopt current program, as you see on the screen in front of you. A second is not required. Shelley, would you like to speak to your motion?
This is basically readopting all of our positions. And we do this every 2 years, and any new positions. And also readopting the efforts under national that have been in place since 2016, which also represent a core of our actions.
Questions for clarification are in order?
Ann Murphy, historically Spokane. Huh?
Your league?
I was
You
starting.
said Ann Murphy. Yeah, and we
I am Ann Murphy.
yeah, we need your league. You
Isn't
said
that
Ann
what I
Murphy, but you didn't say your league.
I was starting to. Because historically I was from Spokane. Now I'm in Clark, but I'm representing Yakima. So I'm all over the board.
Maybe at large.
I'm sorry, Sally, I didn't. So thank you for emphasizing the campaign for making democracy work, but I think it's, would you reaffirm that the parts of that are voting rights, improving elections, campaign finance and money in politics, redistricting, direct election of the president by popular vote. In light of the times, I think it's important that we know all the pieces that are part of the campaign for making democracy work. Thank you. Can you just,
I can repeat those. Yeah, those.
you
are-
don't need to run them by, but
Those are all components of the campaign that's been in place, like I said, since 2016.
so that is part of our program of work.
And that is.
Thank you.
Other questions for clarification? Seeing no one on the mic, Shelley, would you, I recognize Shelley for the next motion?
Okay, now the next motion is about adopting the new program of work that we went over yesterday. Motion 2505, I move to recommend to adopt the recommended new program item number 2, update of Indian treaty rights study as shown on page 20 of the workbook.
It's been moved to adopt the new study item, Indian treaty rights, as shown on page 20 of the workbook and on the screen in front of you. The motion does not require second. Are there questions for clarification? You want to speak to your motion? I didn't ask you that, so I'm in the corner. I apologize.
No, oh, there is someone coming.
Okay, speak to the
I'm-
motion while somebody comes.
This is,
Is there a question?
right.
I did not give Shelley the opportunity to speak to her motion, so I apologize for that. She'll do that now, and then we'll take the questions for clarification.
So if you were here yesterday, we talked about how we came about recommending the 3 items in the new program of work. And this is a much needed update. A lot has happened since 1980 on the issue of tribal rights and tribal issues. And we have a lot of people that are interested in this. So
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that we're considering this. I do want to know for clarification. Oh, sorry. Carol McMahon, Snohomish County League. How are the tribes engaged in this discussion and in moving this forward?
Well, that would be part of the committee's work. And I'm sure that they will do their best to engage tribes and dialogue with the tribes. I was personally on a local study that kind of in Thurston County, and we met with all the tribes. Now, that may not be possible statewide, but we do want to make sure that they're aware of this. We talked to Willie Frank Jr. and the historian yesterday, and that will be part of it, I'm sure.
So just to help me understand better, what I hear is you're saying they have not been fully engaged in this proposal at this time, even in representation, but perhaps only recently.
Well, once the committee is formed, then they will create a scope of work. There is a scope of work in the workshop, in the workbook, but they will then make out a work plan, and that comes back to the board for approval. And we'll have a board liaison with the committee all along the way, checking in and seeing how things are going. So I'm confident that they will be, knowing the people on this committee will be having connections. And by the way, our policies are that every member is entitled to join these committees if they want to. So if you're interested in working on it, Susan Fleming from Clark County and is the lead. Eleanor Walters in Thurston County is also someone working on it who you can talk to.
Thank you.
Or talk to the board.
There was another question for clarification. Are there other questions for clarification? All right, we are ready to go on to the next motion.
Motion 2506, I move to adopt the recommended new program item number 3, LWV of Washington State Housing Study Update, as shown on page 20 of the workbook.
It's been moved to adopt the new proposed update on housing, item number 3 on page 20 of your workbook and shown on the screen in front of you. A second is not needed. Shelley, please speak to your motion.
Unfortunately, the person proposing the study is not here, but apparently we did a study in 1970. And our positions need to be updated and reviewed. There are a lot of issues going on with housing, homelessness, housing costs, affordability. Carolyn Byerly of Thurston County is the lead, but we do have Cynthia Stewart here, who is an expert on the issue and will be helping. So if there's any questions about that, I'm going to defer them to Cynthia. But that's all I have to say.
Are there other questions for clarification? All right, again, this motion will come to you and during the plenary on Sunday morning. So we are ready to go on to the last motion.
Yep.
And Shelley, please make that motion.
Motion 2507, I move to adopt the recommended new program item number 4, State of Democracy in Washington, as shown on page 21 of the workbook.
It's been moved to adopt program item number 4 on the state of democracy as shown on the screen in front of you and on page 24 of your workbook. The motion does not require a second.
This is an education project. The primary persons proposing it were Lunell Hott and Jean Snyder. And it's based on a project done in Maine, and there should be a link to that Maine report. I'm pretty excited about this. It's a report card on various issues about how our state government's working as far as transparency, open government, diversity, and that one, again, all of these will be open to anyone who wants to work on it. So if you're interested, talk to Lunel or to Jean.
Are there questions for clarification? Yes, please come to the mic. Any mic you can find.
I'm curious. I just have Karen Crowley, Snohomish County League. I'm curious about thinking about the model that the national, our most recent judicial study just went through, which was sort of an accelerated timeline. And I'm interested in these times as we are looking at the situation we're living in. Is there any possibility that this education project might work on a more accelerated schedule?
I think in your proposal, you did have a 1 year, they did have a 1 year, span and, in their proposal in the scope of work. Education projects are often, don't take as long as studies do.
Thank you.
So.
Hi, Sherry Shelton, Clark County League. Mine's more a question of semantics, and nobody else might be thinking this when you look at this, but when I look at that in Washington, I don't necessarily know if it's Washington State or Washington, D.C., and I don't know if somebody was just looking outside of the league and said, oh, there's this new program, State of Democracy in Washington. Anybody outside of Washington might go to D.C., so I'm just wondering if there could be addition of state to the name.
Do we want to amend the motion?
An amendment's not in order at this time, but if you do want to amend the motion, you can do so when it comes up for amendments at the plenary on Sunday, unless we happen to get to it today, which I don't think we will, but who knows?
Yeah. We would not, as a state league, we would not be able to do something on the national level. So implicit means Washington, and I know I'm always
Used to mine.
we would not be able to conduct a project on the national level, so it is implicit that it is the state of Washington. I think that's it for me.
Other motions for clarification? Okay, thank you, Shelley. There were no not recommended items, and we do have time to go back and delve into the bylaws. And so that is what we will do, to the surprise of our bylaws committee chair. But I want to give you a little bit of guidance as to how we'll proceed first. We have found the DEI clause that was of interest to one of our members, and Amy will put that on the screen. I will need a copy of the bylaws from the table, so if somebody could bring me a copy of it. Thank you. Thank you. I will need that. Is there going to be an issue getting that on the screen, Amy?
I take it fine. I can't.
Scroll up there.
There is the DEI inclusion policy. These are our bylaws, and those are the national bylaws. Okay, so take note of that, and then Amy is going to put our bylaws on the screen.
I'm sorry.
You can put the bylaws on the screen? Okay. So,
Me to do that now?
yes, go ahead and do that now. And I want to tell you, I already mentioned how we would go about those bylaws. You do have a copy on your table, so if you need them, that will be, take a look there. And what we're going to do is have a motion, the motion that Diane made earlier. She'll restate that motion. That motion will be on the floor. We'll go through each of the amendments and the proposed changes in the language. If there are amendments to the proposed changes in the language, then we will take those amendments and vote on them. When we have gone through all of the clauses that have amendments, then we'll go back to the motion and vote on it. If it has been amended, we'll vote on it as amended. If it has not been amended, we'll vote on it as Diane originally stated. And then we will be able to complete the work of the bylaws today. Our bylaws allow us to do this. So we'll take good advantage of the time. It's 11:37 now. We have until 12:15, so that's how long we'll go. And at 12:15, I'll take a motion to postpone further discussion until the plenary on Sunday, if that's needed, because we do have to recess at 12:15. So Diane, if you could please go to a mic and restate the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Diane Moss.
And while Diane is going to the mic, we're going to take a quick pause so that we can allow the administrative piece up here to get organized. Oh, and I am reminded by the secretary, if you have any motions to the amendments, and keep in mind, you can only make amendments to the proposed language. If you have any motions to the amendments, you need to write them out. Here are the motion slips. So come get a motion slip and write it out because it needs to go to the secretary. And I think that's it. And Amy, can you put the motion, you can't put the motion on the board, can you?
I have it on my phone. Oh, but
Okay, let's stick with the bylaws. Go ahead.
okay, Diane Mollison, Benton Franklin County League. I move motion 2503. I move to adopt the recommended bylaw amendments as presented on page 27 of the workbook.
It has been moved to adopt the proposed amendments as, here's the motion right here. It's been moved to adopt the recommended bylaw amendments as presented on page 27 of the workbook. A second is not needed. Diane, do you want to speak to your motion? Or do you feel?
Yes. Okay, so thank you. I am updating the bylaws to conform to the chapter spot membership system. There were other things that came up in the bylaws that were, somewhat minor. They are listed on page 27. And we cleaned a few things up. We just clarified things as we saw, but we did not make major changes except to conform to the chapter spot membership system.
Thank you. All right. Now we will go through the clauses of the bylaws. Can you get those bylaws on the screen for us? Can you go to the first proposed amendment? It is section 2.2. Oh, the first, we're not going to, we don't need to concern ourselves with that administrative amendment there. That will be taken as part of the whole amendment. Go to the section 2.3 so that we can see the amendment that's proposed there. There we go. So are there any amendments to this section? If you have any amendments to this section, to this language, now is the time to come forward with your amendment. Seeing no one at the mic, I'll go on to the next section, which is section 3.2A. Are there any amendments to this section?
I have a point of information.
Yes.
From my understanding, like I said earlier, I'm sorry, I'm Valley Needham Heisman. I'm from Thurston County. As I said earlier, is my understanding that we do have to adopt this language to be in compliance with national. However, as long as we have everything in our bylaws that national has, are we able to add language?
What you're able to do today is amend the language that you see before you. You cannot add you cannot add new language to the amendments. You cannot delete language from the amendments. You can only amend the language that's underlined or struck out.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, if, are there other, this is actually debate about the amendment, so this is the time for debate about this amendment. Seeing no one at the mic. Yes. Is there? Oh. Oh, okay. And I am reminded by the parliamentarian that the first articles of, the first three articles cannot, they must be in compliance with national.
So this is Karen Tweet with the Thurston League, and that goes to my question. It's a point of question or clarification. Is as what we see on the screen, 3.2, as with the edits, is that now consistent? Would this be consistent what's in the national bylaws?
It's consistent.
Diane can answer that question. Diane, please come to the mic.
I'm getting the second.
Why are we not having? Where's our standing mic?
They're right there.
Oh, please put the mics on the standing mic holder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand it means charting a path to the mic, but we can do it.
Okay, yes, it would be, it's laid out a little differently. The National League, they have it as a paragraph. We just kept it as a list because that's what was there before. And also they don't have members at large, which this league does, so we kept that in, but they have the life members, the students. I can read you their membership. Types of membership. This is the National League. Voting members, persons at least 16 years of age who join. The League of Women Voters of Washington shall be voting members of the local and state leagues of their place of joining and of the LWVUS. Those who have been members of the league for 50 years or more shall be honorary life members, excused from the payment of dues. Those who are students are defined as individuals enrolled as full or part-time with an accredited institution. And then they also, in another paragraph, have associate members. All others who join the league shall be associate members. So all that information is there. It's just as a list instead of 2 paragraphs.
That constitutes compliance. So are there other, is there other debate on this? Yes. Could you put the mic on? Thank you, Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela Gurko from the Jefferson Unit at Large. I'm curious as to point of information. I'm curious as to why we have a differentiation between voting members and associate members.
Diane, do you want to speak to that?
I'm not sure I can answer that. That was also in the original bylaws that we fixed, and that was in the National League's. That's how they listed. And I am actually, that's a great question because
I would like to remind everybody that we're now dealing with section 3.2A. 3.2A. So we're talking about the language of the place of their joining. And if you have an amendment or we're discussing that, we want to move along if that's not your issue.
As written, it almost implies that there's voting members and associate members who are not voting members. And I'm just curious as to why we would have associate members who are not voting members.
Are you talking about section F? Section F is not part of the language that we are authorized to amend at this time, so it's not a subject of the debate. That's an interesting question, and I encourage you to bring that up.
Ann Murphy, Yakima. The difference is the voting member has to be 16 and older, and the associate member could be a 14-year-old who wants to join your league. So I was at the national convention where that was debated hotly. So
thank you for that clarification, Ann. I draw your attention back to section 3.2A. Is there any debate or discussion about that or any amendments to that clause? Seeing none, I'm moving on to section 3.2D, where we've inserted the word honorary. Is there any debate, discussion, or amendments on that language? Seeing no one moving to the mic, I'm moving on to 3.2E, where we struck the language to find in Article 7 and as defined as individuals, and the additional language below that. Is there any debate, discussion, or amendments on that language? Yes.
My name is Valley Needham Heisman, still with the Thurston League. Today, I would like to encourage both the state league and all local leagues to seriously consider how to extend equitable access to folks dealing with financial hardship. Today, we are taking away an easier access to our membership to college students. As President Wynn discussed yesterday, the board of LWV US supported this change because they felt we should not single out a single demographic to receive free membership when many younger folks are not attending and may not have access to higher education. With respect to LWV US, I strongly believe our response to this gap is to extend equity instead of decreasing it. Thank you.
So you did not wish to make an amendment, I assume? Yeah, okay. Are there any? Okay. Let us move on to the next item on the agenda and that is 8.3. Is that, and everybody agrees that's 8.3? 8.3? If I've missed one, could you call it to my attention?
Article 5.5, Treasurer.
Oh, thank you. Article 5.5. Yes, thank you. The treasurer. And there the language has been inserted due to League of Women Voters of Washington. That's the language that has, is there any debate, discussion, or possible amendments to that clause? Seeing no one moving to the mic, then we can move on to the next one, which is 8.3. Did I miss one? Thank you.
The next one is Article 7 meetings, 7.1.
Thank you. Article 7.1 frequency, where it has been inserted 10 days before the meeting. Any debate, discussion, or possible amendments? Yes, I see.
Elaine Harger, Spokane. I saw in 5.6, it looked like there was a change. So I think we sped by that, or there was some kind of typo.
Oh, yes, thank you. We'll go back to that one. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
The one on the floor right now is
5.6, that was a typo. It was, I didn't list typos, but it said in and it should have been on.
Oh, we don't need to worry about typos. It can be corrected without motions.
Okay, and they're in there, anything I changed. And do I need to tell you why we changed the frequency of the meeting? I mean, it brings in the C3.
So we've handled 5.5
Yeah, you were on 7,
and we're on 7.1.
frequency of meetings.
Frequency for 10 days. Is there any debate, discussion, or a possible amendment to 7.1? If you have a debate or a discussion and you're a delegate, are you a delegate? Oh, you must be a delegate to be recognized by the chair. Any other debate, discussion? Seeing none, I will move on to the next item, the next paragraph, which is section 8.3. 8.3, and you see the language there that has been deleted and inserted. Is there any debate, discussion, or possible amendments to this language? Okay, seeing no one at the mic, we will go on to the next one, which is section 8.38. Is there any discussion, debate, or possible amendments to section 8.3A? Seeing no one approaching the mic, I will go on to, I think we'll just take those next two together. Any possible, any debate, discussion, or possible amendments on either B or C? We're just going to take those together for purposes of time. And they're all adjacent language, so. Seeing no one, we will go on then to the next item.
Representation.
The next paragraph is section 9.5, powers. 8 point what? 8.4, thank you. The next paragraph is 8.4, where the language except that the per member payment shall be approved is deleted. Is there any debate or discussion about that or any possible amendments? Seeing none, we will go on to the next one, which is 9.5.
9.4
Oh, 9.4.
for representation.
Thank you. 9.4, where you see the date is changed. Is there any debate, discussion, or possible amendments to that one? I see a delegate approaching the mic.
Hi, Ellie Hutton, Clark County League. I move to keep the current bylaw language in Article 9, Section 9.4, representation, to keep the language of the date determined by LWVUS and not make the change to January 31st.
Is there is there a second to the motion? There is a second. Could you bring the motion slip to the front? I need a copy of the motion. I have a copy of the motion. Can you read it? When you
Bev
fill
Herbst
these
is-
out, do write hard. If you remember, that third triplicate gets a little faint.
Okay, Bev Herbst.
Well, let me state the motion before you speak to it,
Okay.
then I'll give you an opportunity to speak to it. It's been moved and seconded to keep the current bylaw language in Article 9, Section 9.4, representation of the date determined, and to have it continue to say representation of the date determined by the League of Women Voters of Washington.
US.
Is everybody clear on what the motion is?
No, it's LWVUS.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. The date determined by the League of Women Voters of the United States. Okay. All right. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Well, I spoke to it earlier when I brought it up earlier in the first discussion. I just think keeping bylaws as an overview and not have really specific date language is really important. Things can change in the future, and to comply with the bylaws, if there are changes that are made by the date by national, then we would be out of compliance. So by having it as a general statement that we're going to follow the date determined by National League, we would be in compliance always.
Thank you. Is there a further debate on this amendment?
Angela Gurko, Jefferson County. I wish to support my delegate colleague in her arguments by noting that we don't have to do this again. If League of Women Voters US changes their date, we don't have to spend 3 minutes thinking about changing this in the future.
Is there further debate or discussion on this amendment? So it has been moved and seconded to reinsert the been moved and seconded to keep the current bylaw language in Article 9, Section 9.4, representation of, and this is the language, the date determined by the League of Women Voters of the United States. All those in favor? Opposed? I remind everyone that a 2/3 majority is needed. I have heard a 2/3 majority, the motion carries. And just to make sure it's clear, the motion that Diane made at the beginning will now include this amendment. So we'll get back to that so you'll understand what's happening when it does, but just to keep us on the same page as we're moving forward with this. The next item is section 9.5, powers. Is there any discussion, debate on this amendment, on this proposed amendment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item. The next paragraph is,
Sections 10.2, council.
I'm sorry?
Sorry. Council, section 10.2E.
Thank you, Diane. The next section is council, section 10.2, section 10. Hold on a second here. Section 10.2E, where the language, the word conventions has been struck out and the word councils has been inserted. Is there any debate or discussion on this proposed amendment? Seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is section 10.5, representation. Oh, no.
That's the same. Yeah, so that's the same. So we need an amendment for that because.
Yeah, let's get an amendment for that one, so it's on the books. We would want an amendment for that too, wouldn't we? Yeah. The parliamentarian increase, we need an amendment for that one too. If you want to go ahead and make that same amendment. Could you give her back one of the motions because she has it written out already?
Hi, Ellie Hutton,
Oh,
Clark
she's got it.
League. I will move to keep the current bylaw language as in article, what article are we in now? 10.5. Sorry, it's tiny on here, and remove the words that had been proposed for the change of January 31st, and to keep the language, the date determined by the LWVUS of the year in which the council is held.
So can the chair say that you have moved to insert the language January 31st and strike the language, the date determined by the League of Women Voters of US?
No, it's the flip of that.
You want to reinsert the language, the date of, yeah.
Yes.
So you want to strike the language January 21st.
31st.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's go with that, if that's acceptable. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so is there a second? There's a second. Did you see the second down there? It has been moved and seconded to amend section 10.5 to strike January 31st and to insert the date determined by the League of Women Voters of US. Do you want to speak to your amendment again?
It would keep with the same compliance issues.
Any debate or discussion on the amendment? So the amendment before you then is to strike January 31st and to insert the date determined by the League of Women Voters of US as shown on your screen. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? 2/3 majority, the amendment passes. Okay. All right, our next one then is Diane's helping me stay on track.
I think that's it because they were just some minor typos and I had to underline them. The numbering, we fixed the numbering of the sections.
I'm just gonna say as amended. Are you able to get the motion as amended on the screen?
Posted. I think that was a typo. Yeah, because if it wasn't on the report, it was a typo.
Oh, we don't need motions for typos. We
No.
can make those corrections.
And then the other corrections, which if you see a line struck out, it's we renumber, it was 12, then 13, 14, 15. They were just
That's
numbered.
not an insertion, Robert's rules. That's just underlining
Yeah,
according to.
it's but I just wanted to tell people.
And we don't need to have motions on the dates. We'll update those. All righty. Well, in that case, we are moving right along and if you could put the motion as amended on the screen for folks. And so we're going back to the first motion that Diane made to adopt the bylaws. It was, she moved to adopt the recommended bylaw amendments as presented on page 27 of the workbook. We've made 2 amendments to those proposed changes. And we want to make sure that, and Amy's doing her best to get this on the screen.
Okay, I have the original motion, so.
So if you want to hand me the other, I'll read the amendment. The first amendment, I'll remind you, is to keep the current bylaw language in Article 9, Section 9(4) representation, to keep it to the date determined by the League of Women Voters of the United States. And the second was a motion to be in compliance with that motion and to strike, it was at Section 10.5. To strike out the language January 31st, I'm sorry, it was section 9. What was section 10.5? Yeah, it was section 10.5 to strike out the language January 31st and to insert the language, the date determined by the League of Women Voters of the United States. Are you ready for the question? All right, and that's, I will not restate it because I've said it a few times now. And I will ask all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries and you have amended your bylaws and we have completed that work and I thank you and congratulate you. Now we have some time here and I think we might as well take advantage of it. I'm not sure how far we will get, but we can begin on program. Yeah, program. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll take up just go to the mic, Shelley. And I'll ask Shelley Knipe to go to the mic to restate her first motion that she made, which was motion number 2503 to readopt, was it 2504? Motion 2504 to readopt current program. She made that motion earlier this morning. And now we will begin the process of debate, discussion, possible amendments. We will not vote on these programs. It might be interesting to you to know that our bylaws allow us to take a vote on the bylaws amendments the same day, but program amendments we cannot vote on the same day. And the idea there is that people need a chance to understand and to think about it, et cetera, et cetera. And so, Shelley, you are recognized.
Motion 2504. I move to readopt the current LWVWA positions in the area of government, transportation, natural resources, and social policy, and the new positions on elder caregiving and welcoming immigrants as presented in Program in Action and on pages 28 through 32 of the workbook, and the board recommends continued efforts in the campaign for making democracy work.
This motion does not require a second. It's been moved to readopt the League of Women Voters current program in the areas of government, transportation, natural resources, and social policy, and new positions on elder care and welcoming immigrants as presented on pages 28 and 30, as presented in the 24-25 program in action on pages 28-32 of the workbook. The board recommends continued efforts in the campaign for making democracy work. Is there debate and discussion on this motion? This is your opportunity to amend this motion if you so wish. This is amendments to this motion are in order now. Okay, that what will happen then at the plenary on Sunday is that there will be no opportunity for amendments because now's the chance, and we'll vote on it on Sunday. Let's go to the next one then, 2505. Wait, let me check with my parliamentarian. Oh, yes. So we have just a few more minutes. As a matter of fact, maybe we should break for lunch now. Shelley, I think we'll put on hold the next batch of motions, and we will take them up Sunday morning. We've completed this one, though, so we are making good progress. And we'll take a few minutes now to allow Myra to come to the mic with... What's that? Oh, yes. Myra reminds us of roll call, fun, roll call of local leagues. Yesterday, we completed Kittitas, and I think that Mason County is the next. Did you have a point of information or clarification that you needed to make before we move on? No, as I mentioned earlier, there was no notification of the not recommended items on at our plenary yesterday. And the way the process works is you have to do your notice of intent to make this motion. Nobody did that. So we don't need to worry about those. But we can welcome League of Women Voters of Mason County.
Hi, Amy Davis from Mason County, and I am one of 3 on the leadership team. We have 3 delegates present today.
Pullman, do we have somebody here from Pullman?
Pat Odell, Pullman, League of Women Voters. We have 3 delegates here.
Seattle King County. What?
Hi, Kim Albert with Seattle King County, and we have 16 delegates.
San Juan.
Thanks. I'm Susan Martin, San Juan. I'm Susan Martin of San Juan County League, and we have 3 delegates. Thank you.
Skagit.
Margaret Colony, Skagit County, and we have 4 delegates.
Thank you. Spokane.
Hello, I'm Julia Presar from the League of Women Voters of Spokane area, and we have 7 delegates.
Snohomish.
Kathy Lou Scott, outgoing president of the great green and growing county of Snohomish League of Women Voters, where we just welcomed 83 new members. We are proud to announce that we have a full complement of 9 delegates attending and 4 additional participants.
Tacoma Pierce County.
Ruth Ann Hatchett, Tacoma Pierce County League, and we have 7 delegates here.
Thurston.
I am Valley Needham Heisman. I am one of 3 of the leadership team of Thurston County. We have 2 delegates virtually and 6 delegates in person. Thank you.
Whidbey Island.
I'm Judy Huka from Whidbey Island. We have 3 delegates attending in person and 1 attending virtually.
And Yakima.
Cindy Olivas with the League of Women's Voter of Yakima County. We have 3 current leadership members here and a total of 4 delegates, 1 at large.
Thank you all, and thank you, local league leaders, for all of the work you do to keep the league alive and functioning in our democracy. I now ask Myra to come to the podium to make any announcements, and remind you, if you have announcements, get them to her and she'll make them at the end of each plenary session and wherever else is needed.
The following workbook and note was found somewhere on somebody's table last night. So if this is yours, come and find me and you can have it back. This is from the This is from Karen Matson. Please ask the members of the teller committee to see Karen Matson of the elections committee before the end of the day today. Thank you. That's Karen over there.
That concludes our business this morning for this plenary session, and we will recess until this afternoon. And please check your agenda for the correct time, but we will see you again then.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Did you see?
Oh, it's to meet you. So glad you could be here. Oh, thank you very much. So we have we're gonna sit right here. Yes. And, but you can wander around whenever you want.
Amy, how are you? Part of your tech support. Amazing. Do you think I'll be able to plug in here and connect this? I don't know if you get it all the way up there. But there is a remote. Yeah, okay. Let's figure this out. Yeah. Let's. Have a. All right.
I'm so glad you came with enough time, to do these little organizational things. Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen Deanne, Brenda? Where's Deanne?
Yes.
Oh, so you've already touched bases with her. Oh, super. Okay, and we have this little question program going on, so we're gonna go make sure that's all set up. But Amy will get you set up right here. I'll be out of the way.
Yeah. Hold on, Chair. Do you? We're trying to see if we can get this cord all the way over here. Right, now we just need to do. Okay.
Yeah, with the 3 o'clock is the. I'm a little worried that that would be disruptive because of all the cables, right? Because they're an audio thing. Check that, ask Beth, because she's in charge of that workshop.
But if she says yes,
If she says yes, totally. And I have them on my laptop already. Oh, okay. Okay.
For sessions, is there a way to make them go in a waiting room and if they're on the list, have it pick them if they're not?
We can move everybody to and then like read.
I think that'd be easier to keep people who are assisting doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
Always a little stressful.
I did, no. Amendment, right, yeah. Yeah, if there's a lot later, then we can tell Mary that we can hang out. Yeah. Well, in the voting, they'll make the amendment probably this afternoon and then they'll vote on them maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Anything. We're trying to figure out how to help the virtual delegates vote on amendments and motions that are made from the floor. Oh, yeah. We're not paying for that technology. Let me check in with Kate again. We can do that at the end of the next plenary session. And just tell, like, you just have to give a note to Myra, and that's how the announcements get made. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was having that same thought. I was looking. Okay. I know, it bugged me when I was finally sitting. Okay, no, I'm talking to the speaker. Yeah, that's the dream.
Oh, seriously? Pick one card. Oh, look, and we got the very hard, yeah. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. I'm just gonna take, I can never tell if I'm doing a good job. Okay, it'll just need to be shifted.
And can you sign my shirt?
That's strange. But it's been a long time. Oh my God, does everyone watch Women's Watch? Okay, then I can do it. Only because it's that shirt. Only because it's that shirt. I can probably do it. Now I'm gonna get a picture for signing. Okay. I haven't signed a shirt in so long. I don't even know how to do it. I'm gonna just do it right here on the back. Is that okay? Let's go back here. Really? Okay, so the best place is right on the shoulder because then I got a nice spot and it's less awkward than on the other. All right, Joanne, smile. Oh, I'm gonna put my basketball number on there. Your storm number. My storm number, I don't remember as I was there only for 3 weeks, but. Oh, you were? My rain, my skin rain, when I paid for the. I'm so sorry. I'm here too. That's amazing. I would not have signed any other shirt but that one. That was, yeah, no, I have one. I have a,
Wait, I didn't
yeah.
read it.